Here's my year-long plan, and it's for grade 2, and you'll see that there's a lot of content within it. It is based on big ideas, but also we cut out all the specific ideas or specific curricular expectations and attach them to this project as well. So it starts in September, and you'll see at this top it is also connected to the math processes. So problem solving and representing will be focused on in the month of September, and we'll use some of the problem solving ideas that they had in the curricular documents to help assist when it comes to delivering this. So for number sense, it's going to be solving involving the addition and subtraction of 1 and 2 digit numbers, and if we get into multiplication and division, that's great. But really we're looking at addition and subtraction, talking about identifying, describing, extending, creating, repeating patterns, growing patterns, and shrinking patterns. So the increasing and decreasing patterns connect really well to the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And so we want to teach number sense and enumeration with this patterning strategy attached to it as well. One of the models we'll use is the number line, and that's displayed here. The children's book that represents patterning and addition and subtraction is 1 is snail, 10 is a crab. It's a great way to kind of tie in animals and make it so it's an interesting look at addition and subtraction and even multiplication if we choose to do that with animals and patterns as well. And the app we're going to use, or the app I'm going to use, is Chatterpix, and I'm just going to ask the kids to create patterns and then take a picture of it and record what their pattern is doing. And if you haven't used Chatterpix, it actually makes the object talk. So in the situation, they will take a picture of the pattern, and that pattern they'll be able to describe what type of pattern it is, and they'll be able to use Chatterpix to really show this. So that's the month of September. October, the processes are selecting tools and computational strategies, and we're going to use Explain Everything as one of those tools. We're going to compare measurement and geometry. So measuring these different shapes, the geometric shapes, with a major focus on two-dimensional shapes. We're going to look at using non-standard and standard units, both through math manipulatives and also through the use of the iPad with Explain Everything to really show the students measuring through either non-standard or standard units, and to actually really get a chance to look at two-dimensional shapes and figures and sorting them out with their geometric properties. We found that I believe that measurement and geometry are a great tie-in, because you can look at shapes, but you can also ask the students to measure these shapes and to talk about the attributes of these shapes and really look at and really dissect what these shapes are. It's a great way to connect both of these curricular expectations. So that's October. November is the focus is connecting, and it's going to be data management. And although it's not listed here, data management will also be heavily relied on number sense enumeration, curricular expectations as well. So for the data management expectation, they're going to collect and organize data through pictographs, line plots, graphs, bar graphs, etc. And they're going to read and describe primary data presented in tally charts, concrete graphs, pictographs, line plots, etc. They're going to use Google Forms to be able to ask questions, get the data, and then actually analyze it as well. And we're going to create an inquiry for a real-life context situation here where the students are going to ask important questions about the school. I haven't actually nailed down what that specific inquiry will be about. I want to get to know the kids a bit better and then develop an inquiry about how they can improve the hallway or make it safe, or how they can make the playground more interactive for students and more accessible for students, or whatever it looks like to them. After I get to know the students, I'll be able to base an inquiry after learning more about what their interests and enthusiasm lies towards and their passions are. So that's the month of November. And in December, the process we're going to look at is communicating, and this was done intentionally because we're going to do a major focus in language on oral communication and what that looks like. So we can also tackle this in communicating through numeracy as well. So money is the focus, number sense is the curricular expectation, big ideas on the left, specific expectations are on the right. We're going to use pic collage in the situation to show adding different money amounts and what that total would look like, or subtracting money amounts and making change through different pictures. We're going to build a storefront where the students will be able to design what they want to sell, and then actually have the students shop and buy and sell different items, and use addition and subtraction to really solidify how they make change and what the manipulation of money looks like. And then we're going to play the game that I wrote earlier, the shape sorting game, to display how different countries around the world can be taken advantage of when it comes to dealing with natural resources and money. it's just a great way for the students to kind of get a look at social justice when it comes to how money is divided throughout the countries around the world, and how natural resources play a role with that as well. So that's the month of December. January, the processes we're looking at is reflecting, and it's in a connection between algebra and measurements. And the algebra is basically looking at pairs and expressions using concrete materials, symbols, and addition and subtraction up to 18. But one of the main things that this is really looking at is the missing variable. So, you're going to use an equation, but there's going to be a missing variable, and this connects with measurement when you talk about measuring length, perimeter, area, mass, capacity. And really the focus here is the perimeter and area, where the students are going to look at shapes, connect what is missing if there was one of the sides left off for the amount of perimeter, or a calculation of area is missing. They're going to use algebraic expressions to be able to really display what the perimeter and area of the shape is. So there's going to be a STEM project here where the students are going to actually look at building either an amusement park or a playground, and it's going to be based on shapes and the calculation of the area and perimeter of those shapes, and there'll be a cost associated with that. So it's tying in number sense enumeration money from December into the algebra, into the measurement, into the geometry, and just kind of looking at it. But I will be reporting on the algebra and the measurement curricular expectations for this particular project. So that's January. This is February. It's reasoning and proving, and it's geometry as well, so identifying two-dimensional shapes. So you're going to look at 2 and 3-dimensional shapes with more of a focus on 3-dimensional shapes in this situation. Students will be building nets and doing some real-life context. The amusement park or the playground that they build will carry over into this, so they will have this large project they'll be responsible for. And the real-life context is they're going to actually figure out how much they're going to charge for people to enter the spot, and what rides they're going to use, and then we're going to attach that to the shapes and the area and perimeter and the algebra and the number sense enumeration with money. So we're kind of building every month on what the previous skills the students have learned, and trying to make it so they learn new skills but also are able to apply the skills that they've learned in previous months as well. So I will be actually looking at assessing geometry, but using the previous skills to build and continue with this real-life context project. So March is problem solving again, and it's another measurement unit, but this time we're looking at mass, capacity, time, temperature using non-standard units and standard units. And we're going to use tally charts for this, and we're actually going to use math manipulatives. That'll be one of the models, and we're going to look at measuring different capacities and stuff like that throughout the classroom, and just doing a big comparison as to what that looks like. We're also going to look at studying temperatures in different areas for the last 20 years, and we're going to create an environmental awareness by discussing climate change and really see if there's evidence that we can find in different areas. And the areas we're going to study are actually places where different families are from, so the idea is to get to know students a bit better, and then to ask them kind of where they or their ancestors are from, study those places, connect it to the environmental awareness with climate change, and see if we can create kind of an inquiry project based on that. But using mass, capacity, time, and temperature, that'll be the area that the major assessment will be done on. April is back to communicating, and it's going to be a number, sense, and probability. Basically, the kids are going to use probability games, and they're going to build them, and they're going to play them, and they're going to work them together. And the idea is to set up kind of like an arcade for the students and allow different classes to come through and really go through what fractions and probability look like when they're connected. And the idea of using fractions and probability is the students can develop games based on fractions. So the flip of a coin can be a 1/2, or the spinning of a spinner can be 1/4. Different connections to fractions can lead to different games being built. So the idea is to marry these two and to assess based on that as well. So May is selecting tools and computational strategies. So I'm going to look at geometry and spatial sense for this particular spot, and we're going to use an app, the GeoBoard app that's available for the students to be able to talk about different spatial sense. And we're going to look at maps from all over, and the real life context is we're going to really look at our community and what it looks like and what's in it, and build on what that actually looks like and connect it to the social studies curriculum as well when it comes to spatial sense and when it comes to drawing simple maps, etc. And the assessment piece will be done again on geometry. So that's the month of May. And June is a review. So we're going to take a look at the school year and prepare students for grade 3, but also go back and review any units or ideas or models that you want to understand, strategies the students have used, really take a look at that. And it's going to be time to complete any any leftover units. So June is kind of a buffer, so if there's any units that kind of are not finished, or the teacher wants to go back, or I want to go back and really take a look at it, that's what the month of June is for. So this is the year-long plan, and built within are a bunch of rich tasks with what I thought was a pretty good sequence and connecting different curricular expectations together through big ideas and through specific curricular expectations. We built in the processes, built in the models. We have technology almost every month, whether it's through STEM or through the iPad use, and social justice and environmental awareness are tied in as well. So the hope is that it's a pretty good look at a potential year in the numeracy classroom, and thanks for taking a look.